Here we are, November 2012, and Grammy is going to make her famous cream puffs. This is the recipe. Those are the ingredients to start with. And there's Grammy. So what are you going to do, Gram?
Hi, well, I'm going to make cream puffs. First of all, my name is Isabella D'Amico Mrugach. I've been watching the Food Network since the first day it started, and I always said I wanted to be on it, so here I am. This is the Food Network, and I'm going to show you how to make the cream puffs. I hope they turn out good for you. This way you can make them at home yourselves. I'm going to put in a cup of water into a saucepan, and I'm going to have to bring this to the stove. I forgot you have to put in a stick of butter also in this.
Okay.
Now I've got my butter in the water, and I'm going to let it come to a boil. And as soon as it comes to a boil, I will pour a cup of flour in here, and it'll soften up into a ball. So we'll have to just give it a little bit of time, stir it, and make sure that the butter all melts in the water. So we'll have to wait a few minutes.
Go ahead.
Okay, now the water is boiling and the butter is all melted, so we're going to pour a cup of flour in the water. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to stir. And keep on stirring it. It's going to form a ball. I'm sort of clumsy because my hands don't work right. Wait. Okay, now this took a couple minutes to get it all incorporated, and I cooked it for a few minutes, and now it's in the form of a ball. So we're going to have to cool it off before we do anything else with it. So we're going to turn it off now, and I have a little story to tell you. Okay, I'm going to put this on the counter. Okay, now I've got it all set, and I put it in a dish, and I'm spreading it out a little bit so it cools off pretty fast. And while it's cooling off, I'm going to sit down for a minute, and I'm going to tell you a little story about the cream puffs. Many years ago, my sister and I used to bake my sister Angie and I used to bake all the cookies and cream puffs and cannoli for Christmas. So we both did both things, cookies and cream puffs. But what happened was that Angie would make the cookies, and before Al would come home for supper, she would have them all eaten up. So then she decided that she would put them in Al's trunk, and he would take it to work with him. He didn't realize he had the cookies in there. And she didn't realize that he had to go in his trunk every day to get his tools. So he went to work, opened up his trunk, and what did he find? A can of cookies. Well, Al was worse than Angie. He destroyed the can of cookies. He ate them all up. So when he came home, he came home with a funny look on his face. And Angie says, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Nothing." And she says, "You'd look guilty about something." And he said, "Did you leave something in the trunk?" And she says, "I did." "Why?" He says, "'Cause I ate the can up. The cookies in the can." And she says, "Oh, Al, I did that so I wouldn't eat it." So he felt terrible, and they were both laughing. So anyway, Angie called me up and told me, "I've got an idea. I cannot make cookies anymore because I eat the whole thing up before I'd get them to your house for Christmas Eve. So I'm going to take the cream puffs over, and you're going to do all the cookies." So I said, "All right." And that's what we did. I'd make the cookies, she'd make the cream puffs, because Angie did not like cream puffs. So she didn't have to worry about eating it up. And I would make my cookies. I'd start buying the butter around Thanksgiving, and I'd buy 22 pounds of butter, and I'd start making the cookies and putting them outside in the hallway so that it would stay cold in the can. And my kids used to think that I didn't know that they always had their little fingers in the cans with their girlfriends. So every time they went out in the hallway, Sue Ann and Connie would always grab a cookie and leave. And they thought I didn't know it, but I did know it. And then with their girlfriends, they would come over, and when they were leaving, they'd go down the stairs and they'd pretend that they left. I'd close the door, but I would listen, and I knew that they were going to come back up, which they did. So they were my little mice that picked on my cookies, and they thought they were getting away with something, but they really weren't, because I knew they were picking on them, and I wanted them to anyway. So that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't. Okay, now we're going to check on the dough to see if it cooled off, and I'm going to need a little bit of time to sit. So I'll be back. Okay, now the dough has cooled off, so we're going to pour it into the bowl. And you could touch the dough and see that it's cool enough. Now I'm putting this in here. And what I'm going to do is put 1 egg at a time in. And we always found that beating it with 1 egg beater, for some reason or another, is much better than with 2. So now we'll put 1 egg in. And we're going to start beating it till it's incorporated in there. And you don't beat it hard. And now I'm going to put the other egg in.
Go.
Alright, now I'm rolling it, I'm beating it until it becomes incorporated again. Takes a little time. Now I'm going to put a 3rd egg in. And you keep on beating it. Make sure the egg all gets mixed into the dough. And I'm going to put the last egg in. Takes a little time. it starts becoming sort of gooey as you beat it. Now what I'm going to do is turn off the beater and stir it with a spoon. Okay, now I'm going to start stirring this, and I want to mention to you to preheat your oven at 400 degrees while you're doing this. And then you're going to put the cream puffs into the oven and let them cook for 15 minutes at 400. And then you'll bring it down to 350. In the meantime, you see how this dough is becoming like one ball? And you've got all the eggs incorporated. And now it's ready to be put into the... you can either do it with a spoon or you could do it with the pastry bag. I'm going to do it with a pastry bag. Okay. Now I have a cup that's a little tall, and what I do is I put the pastry bag inside the cup so that I can fill it up all the way. Make sure that it's opened up here. And now I'm going to put the dough in here. Wait a minute. I think I need a spoon. This is a little hard for me to do. Okay, now the cup, the bag is filled to the top. And what we're going to do is lift this up and close it. And you take it out of the bag. And you're going to have to push it down so that it's all the way down to the nozzle. There it is.
Go ahead.
All right, you start piping this dough in. This is actually the wrong nozzle for it. It needs a little larger one. But that's what I've got to work with, so that's what'll happen. And if you got a point like that, all you have to do is push it down a little bit. You can even put your finger in water. And so now we'll just continue filling these, putting these puffs into the pan. Okay. Whoa, this is a job. I can't. Okay, now I've got these all filled up. All put out in the pan. And I also made an eclair. You can do the same thing, the same dough, only shape them like this. And if you have peaks, you can just use a little bit of water on your fingertip and push it down. Now they're ready for the oven. All right, now they're going into the oven with 400 degree. And they're going to cook for 15 minutes at 400. And then we'll bring it down to 350. So now I took them out, and you've got to let them rest until the inside sort of dries up. And this is what they look like. These are small ones. You could make them a little larger if you would like, but when you have a lot of guests, it's easier if they're smaller. And I hope you enjoy them all. And now I want to tell you, I don't have any credits for any of this, except I've got my director, my my producer, my whatever, and I've got my. But the best thing is, my photographer was my son-in-law, Ray, and then of course there's his wife, who sort of directed everything, and then my Ramy, my rare child, was the writer, and he's the editor of the whole thing.
Filling.
Vita?
The filling. The filling.
Oh, and as soon... No, I thought you were going to add...
Okay, forget it.
Go.
Okay, I'm going to stop now because they have to cool off, and then I'll be back and have you watch me making the filling and putting them in the cream puff. So for now, you'll have to wait a while. I'll be back. Okay,
Go.
I've gotten my cream puffs all ready. They're cooled off now, and I have instant vanilla pudding in here. I used to make my own pudding, but I found that this tastes just as good and it's a lot less work. So now I've mixed my pudding and it's already cold. And I'm going to add some Cool Whip to it. I used to use whipped cream, but my kids would rather have Cool Whip because it's not as fattening. And this I cannot measure for you. I just go according to the way it looks to me. It's got to be a soft but not runny. And I also add some rum extract and just a drop to taste. Okay, now we'll see how that works out. And you mix it, you fold, so that your Cool Whip doesn't deflate. Starting to smell like rum now. You see how it's starting to incorporate and soften up? I usually do this slowly so that I don't get it too runny. I think this is just about ready. What I'm going to have to do now is call Sue Ann in here and try a teaspoon because I don't have a good taster anymore.
Here, I'll do it, Mom. Put it.
Okay. But the only thing is, oh, go ahead, taste it. Is there enough of rum?
No, more rum.
She
Yeah,
says
more
more
rum.
rum, so that's what I'm doing. Very carefully put it in because you can overdo it. See how nice and smooth this cream is? Sue Ann, do you want to try it again? With another spoon. I don't double dip.
Just a tad more and it'll be
Wow.
perfect.
I thought I had enough in there.
Just a touch more.
You could also put a little bit of rum in there if you want, but I don't do that because a lot of people don't want liquor in it. Okay, I think this is pretty well mixed up now. Now I'm going to show you how I fill them up. There's still a little bit down here. Okay. Alright, now what you do is you take your, I should have a dish, to cut the top of it. Try to find a good spot where you can cut it, where you don't go breaking the cream puff. Now you see how there's a top on here? Try to get it off, either with your fingers or your knife. And you see how it's empty on the inside? That is what we're looking for. And we can put the cream in here. See it? And put it together. I'll cut a couple more to show you. Now see, this is a good spot here. And I'll clean it up. Okay, and I always make sure that I've got the top with it so that they don't get mixed up. I'm going to do one more and then we'll fill them up. You could make these any size you want, large, small. You could fill these up with savory or sweet. Okay. Now I'm going to spoon this on. I didn't see that. You take a spoonful. You could do it with a one of those bags. I'm so used to doing it with a spoon. And you put enough in it. And then you put it down and spoon a little bit of Cool Whip in it. More. And there goes your top. Do another one. Try to put in a good amount of cream in it. And a dollop of the Cool Whip. Oh. I misplaced it. And that's it. Now if you want, all you have to do is sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar on it, and they're set to go. You just put these in a little plate, and they look very pretty when they're presented on the table. And that's it. That's easy enough to eat. So, I'm going to start eating one because this is one of my favorite things. I take the top off at first because it's easier to eat, and then I put it back on, excuse me. It's very good, if I gotta say so myself. Thank you so much for watching this. And I love all of you, everyone that's watching this. Please think of me, love me, and remember me. Here's to you. Bye-bye.